It's 2 years before the next general elections in Ghana. That will be in 2024. The opposition National Democratic Congress is lacing its boots, preparing for that tight race, which is coming up. The governing party is seeking to break the 8. The NDC says it will not give it the chance. On Face to Face today, I engaged someone whose job it is to whip up the youth base of the National Democratic Congress to ensure that they truncate the NPP's agenda to break the 8. My name is Umar Rusanda Amado, and you're welcome to Face to Face. My guest on Face to Face is the National Youth President or National Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, George Opariado, also known as Pablo. You're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you.
How are you?
It could have been better.
Recently, when the NPP were going to their Congress, the incumbent youth organizer did not run. And when I inquired, it was because he had outgrown the youth bracket. Have you outgrown yours, or you are still in the youth bracket?
Within the NDC, our constitution does not put an age limit on where youth organizer can be.
Really?
Yes.
How?
I don't know.
So you can have a 72-year-old youth organizer?
I provided the delegates wants to elect him. But as it stands now, there is no age limit on where youth organizer is. We are seeking to amend the constitution, but until that is done, there is no limit on who can run for national youth organizer. Mind you, E.T. Mensah have been youth organizers of the NDC before. And
this was when he was older than 40?
I don't know.
Okay. You were not there when the party was formed, so you can't answer a lot of the questions.
Certainly.
But you do agree that it's something that you should change, or the NDC believes in something different from what we all expect?
No, we're a social democratic party, so certainly I do agree that some limits should be brought in. But that's what that limit is what the debate has been. Whether we should go with a universal accepted age of 18 to, is it 30 years or
40.
So? No.
Okay, universally accepted it. Okay, yes. In Ghana we say if you are 40, then you can run for president.
Exactly.
You're younger.
So at what age do we say? So are you saying that at 18 you can vote? At 18 you can run for parliament? So it's a debate that could be raging on. But for me, I am of the opinion that we need to sit down as a party and then agree. Because in this part of the world, our development is a bit late. When I say our development in terms of by the time you leave school, you get a job, you start life, you may have gone past a certain prime time. In other jurisdictions, by 17, 18, you're your own. You have your own apartment ready. So a lot of things goes into deciding who a young person in this part of the world is. Also, there is this argument about people who will tell you that it's just a matter of state of the mind. He may be old, but he may be very useful, especially our traditional concepts of youth chiefs. When you travel around this country, you meet people who have been nominated or been installed as youth chiefs. There's a raging debate, and so you need to get into it. I believe that a day will come, and it's part of the proposals we've made, that at Congress some amendments will be made. When those amendments are made, I believe we'll have a cap. But as it stands now, we don't have a cap on who can be youth organizer.
When is that amendment expected to be
once at every Congress, amendments that have been made, there is an amendments committee that have been sitting for the last 1.5 years or so. And I know one of the things they've looked at critically is the issue of age. But until that happens, you cannot use age to disbar.
Which means you can run again as youth organizer?
Yes, I can run.
Will you run again as youth organizer?
In Akan, there is a popular saying that the Jumasini Sunyaketua. So as it sits today, yes, I'm going to run again.
It is your plan?
Yes.
You have deputies. Plan. What if they want to come up?
It's a contest. Once the seat becomes vacant, anybody is at liberty to run.
You are not eyeing any other position at the same place
now, you are? We've started a certain project. It's paid off, and we believe that once it is completed, we would have positioned the youth wing of the NDC battle ready for the future.
Okay. Before we talk about that and other issues, are you a serious party, the NDC? The governing party, which is the incumbent, everything is working for them, have been swift in organizing their elections from polling station, their zonal coordinators, their constituency. They have regional executive. They currently have national executive. In fact, the only thing left for them is a flag bearer And already we are seeing rallies, supports, peace march and so on. We saw one over the weekend in Kumasi, supposedly being done for Alan Chemartin. We do know who the frontliners are. This is a party which is serious. It already has a slogan, breaking the 8, is ready to move. Your party is asleep. And you are in opposition.
It'll only be one who is ignorant about electoral processes.
Okay.
Who assume that the NDC is not serious. Once you are elected, and mind you, we work with the Constitution. Once you are elected, you are given a 4-year mandate. I was elected as youth organizer in October
of
2018. So from today.
October of 2018.
Yes.
So in
and
October
it's a 4-year
of
mandate.
2022,
exactly.
Your tenure would have ended. We are in August.
Yes.
July, August, September, October.
So, and as I sit here today, we have finished elections in 14 regions for branches.
Where branches is your polling station?
Your polling stations.
Okay. You have finished elections where?
In 14 regions.
Out of 16?
Out of 16. We only left with Ashanti and Eastern region.
Okay.
And we decided to embark on a special project for Ashanti and Eastern. We are in no competition in electing executives with the NPP.
You are in opposition. You need to be ready.
No. You see, who told you our party is not ready? We are ready.
Let's look at your timeline.
So
you were elected in October 2018.
And then, no, but let me finish.
Okay.
I was elected in October 2018. The other national officers were elected in November 2018.
No problem. So you do your youth congress separate youth and women separate
from the national
Let's
congress.
work just with yours.
Yeah.
Let's use October as a benchmark. Okay. Have you elected youth organizers in all your branches, 14 branches?
Yes.
When is the constituency elections happening?
Constituency elections are starting in September.
Yes. Finishing when?
September. You see, constituency elections are held in a day. It's a day's exercise for the 275 constituencies.
You may have challenges that have to be addressed.
The most difficult part of the job is the branch elections.
Don't forget that will be the basis for your album, and that becomes a whole issue.
So it is the branches that is where the challenge is.
Yes.
38,000 polling stations, electing officers for all of them. We have 9 line officers for each branch. The MPP only does 4 or 5. We do 9. So the chunk of the job, the biggest part of the job has been done. When the calendar is given, you usually give a window of 1 week. Within a week, all constituencies, 275, they are electing just 2 officers for the youth organizer and then 28 for the constituencies. It is a day's exercise. The albums that are used in those elections are the branch elections.
Yes.
It is the branch delegates that come up to vote. So that is where the challenges are. As I sit with you this evening, that has been done. Once we are done with Ashanti, and as I speak to you, a team is moving into Ashanti region tomorrow. By the end of next week, Ashanti region will be done. Then we move into Eastern region. We dedicate September in doing constituency elections. Okay. Once constituencies are done, we move into regions. Regional elections are just 16 regions. In a day, you can finish it all. And then you come
Based on your timeline, when do you plan to elect regional executives? Based on
First
the
week in October. First week in October.
Yes. And then when will national executives be elected?
So national executives, between the Youth and Women's Conference, the last week of October, that should have been done. And then the last week of November, the National Congress should have been done. So we are within our time frame. So anybody who doesn't understand what we are doing sits back and says that the NPP has done their elections. They've always had their elections before us. And we are not going to run ahead of them. But
because you are in opposition, should you not be more battle ready than they are?
But Akufo-Addo has messed the economy up. Are we saying that because he's messed the economy up, we are going to run elections today? No. He has a 4-year mandate.
Yes, but you have to be battle ready. You have to have national officers on the ground. Right now, they are all sitting on the edge.
He gave me a 4-year mandate.
But you could have your elections while you wait for that tenure to expire.
No, you can't. We work with a certain time frame. And you see, in the last 2 years, after 2020, the kind of exercises we've undertaken, if we don't even have elections, I can assure you we are battle ready.
Are you serious?
We've done so many things on the quiet that most people don't know. The things we have done, from our reviews, from our what our research department has been able to give us, from the reviews, the outreaches, the audits of our branches, and the true state of the party. These are exercises that from 1992 we've never undertaken before. But under the leadership of Chairman of Osuampofo, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we have gone through, as I sit here, in every polling station. I know where the party is weak and where the party is strong. And based on that, we have put in place programs to address those challenges. So we go into an election thinking we have 9 branch executives at polling station A. On election day, results come. It is not that you don't have the 9. The 9 are there, but some of them don't even vote at that polling station. They live elsewhere, vote elsewhere, and we're executives elsewhere. But when we traveled around the country within the last 1 year, auditing the branches, assessing the true state of the party, finding out where you stay, where you reside, where you vote at, realize that no, some of the things that we suffered in the last elections, on election day, you have to wait for agents to come. Realize that if I live in that area, if I live at that polling station, I don't have to travel anywhere and come to that polling station to work. So we've rectified all that, and I can assure you that we are more than battle ready. Because you see, national officers don't win elections. Ballot boxes are not put at the national level or at the regional level, at the constituency level. The ballot boxes are kept at the polling stations, and that is where the real action is. And I can assure you that we have fixed the problems at the branches. When we are done with Ashanti region, which was our biggest headache, we diagnosed it, we've identified what the problem is, and we now
and the
have
problem is what?
I can't share.
You won't share that with that. And the same in the Eastern region.
The Eastern region is not that massive. There are challenges, but we can't compare what persists in the Eastern region to that of Ashanti. But the good news is that we've managed to diagnose it right, and we have solutions in addressing.
And when will the elections be held in these 2 outstanding regions?
We are moving into Ashanti region from tomorrow. As I speak to you,
they'll be voting?
Right, yes, we'll have all our branch elections. You see, we've issued new ID cards. We started by replacing old ID cards to party members who had their ID cards. After issuing of the old ID cards, it was a replacement process. After the replacement process, we went on to register new members. We've done all that in Ashanti and Eastern. We are now doing the registration of new members in Ashanti and Eastern. By next week, that exercise would have been over in Ashanti region, and then we'll do branch elections. Branch elections, we open nominations. It's usually within 3 days. Nominations are opened, and for the first time, we are picking nomination forms. People are paying 10 Ghana cedis for the forms. You have to pay your dues, and even paying of dues has gone digital. You now pay your dues online. You pay for your forms online. You pick the forms, you pick your forms, you pay for them, and then the vetting team is constituted. I was in Upper East for over 2 weeks, vetting branch executives. Novel. It's a novelty. We've never done this before. And so we are going to do same in Ashanti. Tomorrow, we'll all be in Ashanti. By the time we return, Ashanti would have been done. And usually what we do is that whilst there is a team in Ashanti working, another team overlaps into the next region. So next week, another team will be moving into Eastern region. And you should see former ministers, former ambassadors, former MPs, everybody hands on deck. In Ashanti region, when we're doing the audit, President Mama himself was there, going from polling station to polling station, auditing the branches, making sure that the people who they say are executives are truly there. If you are not there, we note it. And then we start looking for people who will fill those places.
So you're hopeful that by October there will be elections for the youth organizer position, which you are hoping that you will be winning. And the national executives, also in the same month of October or November. You take that to November. Yes. That's when you have national executives, based on your calendar. And you believe it's working.
It's worked so fine. So I don't see how...
Despite disputes that may come up, you have to set up adjudication committees.
We have a committee that sits side by side. As I speak to you, areas where we had challenges in the branch elections. And mind you, our constitution says that when we have more than 2/3 executives elected, we can go ahead and have Congress.
I see. When do you hope to elect your flag bearer?
Our flag bearer is supposed to be done next year, early next year.
That's what your constitution says?
Yes.
That you should elect a year before the elections?
It was before 2018. It was 2 years before the election. But the constitution was amended. So early next year, we should elect our flag bearer.
I see. Let's talk about the NPP's work. It has elected new executives. There's a new chairman. There's a new general secretary. The man you're going to go against is Salam. He's also a new executive, youth organizer. You may be going with him to October. If you're re-elected, you continue. What do you make of the new crop of leaders of the government NPP?
Let me not pass judgment on them. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They are competent. That is why their party have elected them. Let's see what they come and do.
Are you afraid of them?
I have said time without number. That's the current state of the Ghanaian economy. The total mismanagement of every sector of the Ghanaian economy. If even the NPP goes out of this country and brings in, think of any professional you can think of. Let them bring in anybody. Akufo-Addo the NPP and whoever they elect as flag bearer will go down. If elections are held today, they will not even manage 40%. So if you saw what we did in 2020, and mind you, Mario, people underestimate and then look down upon what the NDC achieved in 2020. Take elections in this country from 1992. The second term of every government, 1992, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. Usually the opposition, when you lose power, you struggle in your second term. In 2016, we were a sitting government. We got 44%. 2 years to the elections, in 2018, October, November, the NDC went to Congress and elected a new crop of executives. From 106 seats in Parliament to 137 seats. For the first time in the history of this country, the NDC controls Parliament. See it whatever way you want to see it. We elected a Speaker of Parliament. It's never happened. We still contest the election results of 2020 because we know, per the records we have, and the kind of declarations that went in, even from the gazetted reports Jim Mensah presented at the Supreme Court, and the first gazette that was out, we know that nobody got 50+1. This is a party that was humiliated in 2016. You bring in a crop of new executives, 2 years, and mind you, the whole of 2020, like for the greater part of it, nobody could go out and do any political engagements. So if you underestimate what the current crop of executives the NDC can do and what they will do, then you do so at your own peril. And this was a government that had thrown a lot of freebies during the COVID era, a lot of freebies to the Ghanaian people. We all saw how much money they threw around in the 2020 elections. In all this, they couldn't get a majority in Parliament. In all this, they couldn't win the elections clearly, to the extent that even John Boydu, the night before the declaration, had admitted that he had lost Parliament. If not for some of the machinations and the use of the military and police in trying to take some of the seats off us, we should have been having about 140 seats in Parliament.
You sound very confident of the current crop of executive, which means that for you, if you had your way, it would be for some people team Twaso. You would want that.
I have no difficulties whatsoever. I have been with this party for a very long time. I was a parliamentary candidate as far back as 2008. I was MC in 2009 to 2017. I've been a parliamentary candidate on 2 occasions. I was part of the party way back in 2004 from the University of Ghana days. So I have seen leadership, and I have worked with various leaders, and I've seen the kind of innovation His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Chairman Ampofo has brought on board. If I had my own ways,
he should continue.
We should maintain the team and go on with it.
What about the idea that Johnson Asedun Ketia may go for chairmanship? What do you think of that?
I have not heard it. You are telling me.
So if you heard it, what would you say?
I would advise him to still remain as General Secretary.
You would want him to remain General
because
Secretary?
Because he's
and
been phenomenal.
Remain as
exactly.
chairman.
You see,
and Pablo remains as Youth Organizer.
For me, I know if God does not come, I'll still win my seat any day, anytime.
And Akamba remains Organizer.
I have no difficulties working with Akamba.
Who is your woman organizer?
Dr. Louisa
Hannah Bisiu, my friend from Bono region.
I have no difficulties at all working with any of them.
And your deputies remain at post?
I have no difficulties.
Sami Jemfi remains as your youth organizer.
Difficulties.
Your communications
I have
officer.
no difficulties, but he's done well. I have no difficulties at all.
And John Mahama remains as your flag bearer?
There is not a better person than John Dramani Mahama to lead the NDC today.
This is Face to Face on Citi TV. My name is Umaru Sandam. I'm here with Pablo. George Apariado is his name. He's NDC Youth Organizer. We are having a discussion around the structures of the NDC as it prepares to elect constituency, regional and national officers ahead of the election of a flag bearer for election 2024. When we come back, I'll ask him how strong the youth base of the NDC is. They boycotted the Youth Day for a number of reasons. We'll ask him what the state of that issue is, plus what they make of the current state of the economy, for which reason they believe that the NPP cannot break the 8. Please stay.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
You're welcome back to Face on Citi TV. My guest is the youth president of the NDC. Why did you boycott the Youth Day celebration, an international event that is celebrated globally? You called on your supporters not to show up and party.
Well, let's distinguish the facts. We did not boycott International Youth Day. We celebrated it. On Saturday, Sunday, we held a youth boot camp here in Accra for our 10 executives within the Southern Zone. Professor Nando Pukwajman did the opening ceremony for us. President Mahama did the closing ceremony for us. So we celebrated International Youth Day. What we were not part of, the National Youth Authority wrote to us, inviting us to a program at Tutu Ekriapem at the Kodesh Center, where they were going to honor and award His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo with the Star of the Youth Award, whatever that is, I don't know. And their reasons were that he's been a champion of youth development. That is where, and that is what we boycotted.
You disagree with that?
We said we're not going to be part of a process of honoring a man who has planted the future of this country. We're not going to be part of we're not going to be part of a group of young people who are going to honor a man who has mortgaged our future. I was not going to sit and betray the ordinary Ghanaian youth who cannot afford a day's meal, just 1 meal a day, because of mismanagement of this economy, to the same man who is responsible for my predicament. I was not going to be part of that process. So we met as a party, met with my general secretary and my national chairman, called my other youth leaders and told them that this is what the youth authority is saying. This is what my proposal is. And almost everybody supported it. That if it is celebration of the day, we will celebrate the day because it is International Youth Day. It is not a Akufo-Addo's day. But we will not be part of a process that I feel is criminal, because the man you are going to honor does not deserve to be honored. He has not done anything to change the face of this country to support young people. Rather,
why does he not deserve it?
The man who has brought hardship to you, the man who has made you jobless, the man who makes you beg before you eat, the man who has put you out in the streets without shelter over your head.
The man who has provided secondary school education to millions of people.
And students are begging for food.
But they're still in school. They're going to get a certificate.
Omaro.
Better educated and poor than uneducated and poor, isn't it?
Omaro, we have no difficulties with free SHS. And for people like me, I have praised free SHS everywhere I have gone. But our difficulties with how it has been implemented. The man who is responsible for messing up the education systems in this country today, basic education. Are you aware that for the last 3 years, textbooks have not been provided for schools? Capitation is in arrears 1 year. Common fund has not been given to district assemblies for over a year. The man who has messed up everything and mortgaged every fund this country has. Get fund has been mortgaged for how many years? And so no developments are happening in our schools. This is the man I'm going to say that he should be honored. I was not going to be part of that process.
He provided you with 100,000 jobs for Ghanaian youth under the NAPCO program for 3 years with a year's extension. He is rolling out modules at the Youth Employment Agency. He has replaced the boss of the YEA immediately after he was elected a party official. He's clearly serious about the youth development agency.
If you take the NAPCO numbers and you benchmark it with the budget allocations that goes there every year, clearly, if they're even paid 700 Ghana cedis and the budgetary allocation, you will know that it was not 100,000 that was employed.
Have you checked the budgetary allocation?
We've done it several times.
And how
we've
many
had
people?
this debate.
So you think that there are few people there?
There are few. We've had this debate several.
Like what number?
I can tell you for free that the number is less than 60,000. But even apart from that,
granted, 50,000.
I'm coming apart from that. When you give me a job you give me a job for 3 years, and in 3 years I don't see any progress in my life. You pay me 700 Ghana cedis every month, and I live in Tema. Every morning I'm expected to leave Tema and come to Accra at 700 Ghana cedis. Check inflation. From the time you gave me that job till today, he has left them poorer that he even employed them, because most of them borrow every month. Apart from that, for the last 1 year or so, you owe them. You've not been able to pay them. Now you're asking them to go home without any packages. You virtually said nothing to them. The promises you made to them about NAPCO, that you gradually phase them into other jobs, that has not materialized. So if 3 years, he could have gone on to new challenges. He believed in the promise you made to him. He relied on that promise, that after 3 years, you're going to move him from A to B. So even though he was not earning much, he was very hopeful. Today, that promise has been broken. You've asked him to go home without no benefits, nothing. So he has no plans. 3 years in a young man's life, 3 years in a young woman's life, hoping and believing that his leader has told him that when he's being moved from here, he's being moved into a job that is going to employ him permanently. You have let such a young man down.
National service pays less than 700. People spend less than 3 years at the place, but they come out and
you don't do national service for 3 years.
And no, I'm saying that national service.
Yes, national service is just for 8 months.
I'm saying that national service engages people for less than 3 years.
Yes,
it pays them less than 700 cedis. Yes. And yet, when they come back, they have a beautiful CV to show that, look, I worked here for which reason, give me a job.
Service.
Yes, so I'm saying that what they are giving to them.
Have you looked at some of the models and NAPCO?
Yeah,
what are you going to write on your CV?
That you have worked for 3 years at organization A or B. That's a CV enhancement project. That's what the government said when it was rolling out NAPCO.
No problem. Granted, they should take it. I'm not going to argue on that point.
So you agree that it has
I don't agree, you do.
That it empowered the people.
How?
It gave them something
no training,
to add to their CV.
You pick them, training, nothing.
No, that cannot be entirely true. Those who went to work in offices, for instance, if you're doing NAPCO and you were posted to, what's your district assembly?
Equiapim North.
The person who was posted to do NAPCO in Equiapim North would have worked in Equiapim North District Assembly for 3 years. If he's looking for a job at Citi, he would say that I have a track record of working for 3 years as an accountant.
Beneficiary.
The beneficiary tag is just a beneficiary tag. But you work for... The government said it was not giving them permanent jobs, but was giving them a skill training and also a CV enhancement portfolio. That is what the government said from day one. And they've done actually 4 years. Yeah, they said some would be absorbed, some would have to look for jobs also. That was the exit plan.
How many?
I do not have the figures. But
they are all being asked to go home.
Yes.
That is the reality.
No, but taking care of 100,000 people, you are disputing that figure.
When NAPCO started, we told this government that those jobs were not sustainable. One, there was no legal framework to it. Today, ask them for a legal framework for NAPCO. There is not. That is how come they can easily say that the program has ended and then you're shutting it down. There was no legal framework. When you start any processes without putting in place the legal framework, it is only set out to fail. It was just a campaign winning project. Let me call it that. So let's get people out there. Let's say we've given them jobs. Let's create an impression that people are being employed. But in reality, go down, deep down, you realize that there was no job, actually.
So you have a difficulty with the government's handling of youth issues. They've done NAPCO. They have YEA that is running, which was started by Kufuor administration. They have youth engaged in agricultural business and other incentivized programs. I mean, in the agriculture sector, the minister has said to us that we are doing great in that particular sector. Do you have contrary facts to show that this government is insensitive to the youth?
Yes.
Sure.
For instance, YEA. Kufuor started youth employment without any legal framework. When Kufuor was leaving, youth employment was all over the place. There were no structures. Let's be honest to ourselves. It was under the watch of His Excellency the late President Mills that came to streamline the activities of YEA, gave it its identity, made it an authority, passed the legal framework to regulate it, and then gave it a dedicated source of funding. Because under Kufuor, the talk time tax was passed to support it. A lot of things that happened. We didn't know what we were doing. But the NDC came and then streamlined it properly. And it became an authority. That is how come it is still working. Well, it almost died under President Kufuor. Let's be honest to ourselves. We came to fix it. And then we expanded. Most of the models that are being...
You came to fix it, took advantage of it, and your people went to jail.
But you see, we took advantage of it in what sense? It was because there was no legal framework. That is how come people could take advantage of it. And when we fixed it, we realized that because there was a rot, and mind you, we should even be crediting President Mahama for putting his own people before courts. We should be crediting him for fighting corruption. And it takes a leader like President John Dramani Mahama to be bold enough to say that, no, what you've done is wrong. You're a member of my party, you're a member of parliament, but I'll still prosecute you. So that was done. It was fixed. That is how come today YE is still there and it doesn't have issues. And that is how come today nobody can go and dip his hands anywhere and take what doesn't belong to him. Because we are a human society. When you leave it like that, people will definitely abuse it. Youth in agriculture, it didn't start with this government. Planting for food and jobs. When this government came, they inherited 200 million Canadian dollars that the John Mahama administration had left for them to undertake a similar project. What they did is just to Christian it, planted for food and jobs. So they are good at naming. They are good at giving things beautiful names. But in reality, they are bad at implementing.
They have started the youth start. The finance minister has mentioned the youth start.
But youth start is nothing new. When we were there, what did we start? We started this fund. What do you call it?
Yes.
Yes. It's just the yes that they've transformed.
No, yes is what that's the NIP, National Enterprise.
But it's
that's
no
different
more
from youth start.
It's the same group that they are moving
but
to. But
these are still opportunities they are providing to the youth.
I'm saying that if you have yes, same concept, why do you come and change it?
Enhance it, give it more money.
So enhance it, give it more money.
Yes.
Can you identify how many young people have profited of the...
You haven't checked to see.
Who told you
if you checked, you would realize that people are benefiting.
Who told you you've not checked?
If you checked, what did you find?
Tomorrow, the numbers they put out there, what they tell you and what is happening are two different things. So the MPP is notoriously known for giving names, fanciful names, and making a lot of noise about facts. But the truth is that go beyond the noise. You realize that it is just a facade. They throw it out to sway people and get people to think something is happening. But in reality, nothing is happening.
But the people are not on the street. We don't see the youth on the street asking for jobs, demonstrating. Of course, there are people who need jobs. We cannot have 100% employment situation, but we do not see them on the street.
This government have seen many demonstrations from teachers and nurses than any other government. Even tomorrow.
Even a government that was preventing nurses from being given allowances in school, teachers from being given allowances.
Do you want to get into this argument? Because there's a lot of misconception about these nurses and teacher training allowances.
No, I mean, but it was a fact that you're not giving them allowances.
No, Omaro, let's set the record straight.
Yes. You said you give them loans instead of allowances.
You see, the laws in some of these schools changed. For instance, teacher trainees. They were teacher training organizations. When we took over, they became colleges of education. They became tertiary institutions. You're a government looking at equity and fairness. I go to the University of Ghana and I take a loan. You also go to a teacher trainee, a college of education. That has been transformed from a certificate awarding institution to a diploma awarding institution. Where is the difference? Also, if government is going to pay allowance, for instance, let me use the Ekropon Teacher Training College, now the College of Education in Ekropon. If they have space to accommodate 1,000 students, and the government says that this year I can only pay for 500, what it simply means is that 500 other students will stay home. These are some of the reasonings that went into it, and we decided that let's take away the allowances so that a lot more students can get access to tertiary education. Because mind you, our population is increasing. A lot of more young people coming up. So let's take away the allowance so that a lot more people can have access and rather put them on the student loan scheme. But when we even did that, we knew that it was going to be steep for them. So what did we say? We will still pay their feeding grants for the colleges of education. So when we took away the allowances, we were still paying feeding. Mind you, the feeding grants is more than the allowance we're giving them. And then you had this government of scammers, in quotes, coming to tell them that they've taken away your allowance. We will restore your allowance.
And they have.
And the opportunity cost for restoring the allowance was letting them pay for their feeding grants. So he's giving you 600 cedis as allowance, and he's charging you 900 cedis for feeding grants. So you take 600 cedis into your pocket, and you cough up 900 Ghana cedis for feeding. So you are worse off by 300 Ghana cedis.
But they were happy.
More.
They still voted for Nana Akufo-Addo.
Because at that time, when he promised them that he was going to pay the allowances, he did not tell them that he was going to take away the feeding grant.
They re-elected him.
Because they took that elections we've disputed. The feeding grants was there, so they took it for granted. But John Mahama was providing them feeding grants. Today they are paying their own feeding grants. So he's giving them 600 cedis every month, and you are paying 900 cedis at the end of the month for feeding. Did you get it?
Yeah, but he has still restored it. And you have actually, your party has made comments suggesting that he will be restoring it too.
No, but it is cheaper. And
you have been strongly defending the position that you were against.
But now, the students have come to accept it, that they will pay for their own feeding.
Yes.
So they will pay feeding and take the allowance. The other opportunity cost is that many more students who would have been given the opportunity to earn a certificate, a diploma, are home. You know why? Because government tells you that at the end of the year, I can only pay for 1,000. So if 2,000 are qualified, 1,000 have to remain home. Is this the kind of country you want to be?
What alternative do you plan for the teacher training and nursing training schools?
What alternative?
Yes, in terms of funding, paying their allowances. You'll be restoring it, aren't you? The same way this government has done.
As it stands now, in our last elections, like I said, I started by saying that every election cycle, depending on the circumstances you find yourself in, the current economic conditions, if it still persists, we'll have no alternative than to maintain it. But if at the time we take over power...
So it means you're going to swallow back your sputum.
But in 2020, yes, we agree that we're not going to cancel it anymore, because if they've restored it...
That's embarrassing.
No, it's not embarrassing.
That you scrapped something, people cried and wailed, and you ignored them. Another party comes to power, implements it, and you finally say,
oh,
you're going to do it.
I have spoken just about teacher training. I have not come to nursing training.
Okay.
When we scrapped for teacher training, the laws had been changed. But we did not change the laws for nursing. So in that same year, that same month, we stopped nursing allowances. We went back in paying allowances for nurses. So as of 2016, we're still paying allowances for nurses.
Okay.
So we did not cancel nursing training allowances.
The law for teachers has not changed, has it?
No.
Yet you plan to...
No. Omar, understand something here.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we were giving them feeding when we took away the allowances. The feeding cost is more than the allowances. But we decided to take the feeding because we felt that was higher.
Okay. And let them pay the allowance.
And let them pay...
So there will be no allowance.
So there will be no allowance. Rather, they should assess the student loans.
Okay. Now this government has reintroduced the allowance. And I'm asking...
And government has reintroduced the allowance and now they are paying feeding.
Yes. So when you come, or what is your plan in the manifesto?
I just told you.
The plan is that you are going to continue with this government's plan.
As I speak to you today, our manifesto for 2024 is not yet ready. But based on what we said in the last elections, what we said was that if they are comfortable paying for the feeding instead of the allowance, we are not going to change it. And we were looking at the other way around, that feeding being more expensive, let government absorb the feeding and then you take care of your allowance. But now we realize that they are comfortable with them paying their own feeding. So if government has to pay the allowance, it's not going to be...
You're going to backtrack because of elections, because of votes?
No. And I'm telling you that every election cycle and the circumstances that are prevailing within the economy determines what kind of policies you will put out. If by 2024, and let me also say that as I sit here today, we have not come out with our policies for 2024. So it will be just speculative to say anything. But what I'm
taking forever to come out with policies of 2024. Should you not start giving hints of something?
Omar, are you not putting the cards before the horse?
No, I'm just
asking. We are even here to elect our flag bearer.
Yes.
So if we
but you've already called him your de facto flag bearer, so he can as well start saying things.
And I'm saying that as I sit here, we are now going to go into Congress. A lot of things do happen in elections. Let's cross that bridge. Once we are done and the team is set up, a manifesto committee will be announced. Like we did the last time. We traveled around this whole country and listened to the people of Ghana. We came out with the People's Manifesto. We will undertake a similar exercise when the executives are put in place. We'll travel around the country again, and based on what the people tell us, if the people tell us, if the students tell us that we should maintain the allowance and they'll pay the feeding, we'll give them that. If we go to them again and they tell us that no, the feeding is too expensive, government take care of the feeding for us, and then we'll pay our allowance, we will do that. We will do it based on what the people say, and we'll consult widely. Okay. So as I sit here, I may not be able to say whether we'll take it up or we'll bring it back. I will not be able to say it. Okay. But whatever the people say, based on our consultative processes that we undertake, that is exactly what we'll give them.
This is Face to Face on Citi TV. I'm Umar Sanda. I'm here with George Pablo. George
Pablo is fine, don't worry.
National Youth Organizer of the NDC. When we come back and cross this particular bridge, I'll ask him about this particular issue of the economy, he keeps saying people are living on 1 square meal a day.
Some don't even get a square
and
meal.
whether or not they are going to send their boots on the ground again and continue with demonstration, or what approach they are going to use to hold this government accountable. Please stay.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
You're welcome back to Face on Citi TV. How are you going to hold this government accountable in the last 2 years of Nana Akufo-Addo's administration? What measures are you deploying? The measures that you think you can share with us, not the subterfuge that perhaps you are hiding.
Omar, there are many tools that opposition parties use in holding government accountable. And I'll say that we've done very well. I'll tell you two things. I've heard people say that, oh, demonstrations don't pay off. When we did a March for Justice 2 years ago, when the Edra shooting incident happened and we did a March for Justice, government had reneged on its promises of paying Ayawaso West, the victims, their compensations and what have you. But immediately we did that demonstration, government started engaging. You may not see them admit to it that it is because of this action, that is why they are doing A, B, C, D. But immediately that happened, we saw them, they started engaging the families. Families that prior to they had abandoned were not responding to them. But when they saw the numbers in the streets, I believe somebody went to tell them that it is time you started looking into some of these things. Then we did the e-levy demonstration. When we were doing e-levy, there was a lot of noise. Oh, you do demonstrations, government will not mind you. If not for anything, we achieved our aim. They've not been able to generate the kind of revenue they were expecting from
and you're happy that
we are not happy.
Struggling.
We are not happy. But we are telling them that it was wrong to tax my profits, my capital. It was wrong to take money from me when the money was not being used to work in generating profit. If I have my capital, nobody anywhere taxes capital. It was that demonstration that drew the awareness and people getting to know that, hey, this government was coming out with a policy. Today, even though a lot of jobs have been lost because of e-levy, at least we've been able to push government to do certain things that they were proud to, were reluctant in doing. If government had gone to the IMF earlier, I believe our credit ratings would not have been rated, our economy would not have been rated as junk. So tools are available. Our parliamentary caucus have done very well in holding this government accountable. Proud to these numbers in parliament. The EC will go there and throw her weight about and then get away with a lot of things. Today it is not happening. Today ministers are being called to come and appear. Sometimes they do get away with some of the things. But at least you and I get to hear some of the issues because it becomes topical and it is discussed on shows like this. So people get to know and appreciate some of the issues. The number of press conferences we've had. You're asking me why we did not participate in the International Youth Day. You think they are happy? They are not happy because the NDC was not there. And we've told the whole world why we're not going. So there are many tools available. And we'll continue to hold this government accountable. It is only advocacy. Apart from advocacy, a party in opposition, there is nothing else you can do.
In 2012, the campaign was on corruption. Even in 2016, it was. What do you envisage the 2024 election? What will be the main issue driving the campaign of 2024?
For me, I think we've gone past corruption.
Yes.
You know
That's
why?
why I'm asking what's happening in 2024.
Because Akufo-Addo is the mother serpent of corruption. He presides over a criminal entity of corrupt government officials.
No, that's not right. You can go with the mother serpent because you can attribute it to the former special prosecutor, but this particular
but I cannot attribute this statement to myself.
No, he was investigating corruption. You have not done any investigation.
The number of corrupt cases.
Yes.
Ajimai Menu is still Minister for Health. When he admitted before a parliamentary committee
that he forgot something. Money was not lost.
He was supposed to have paid $10 and signed for $18.
Money was not lost.
Money was lost until you and I made noise and then the money was refunded.
Yes, so the money was not lost.
So you think you can go into a bank and take money and then when they catch you, you refund it and you don't go to jail. What are you telling me? It is because of the Akufo-Addo and it is his minister. What are you telling me? That you go and transact business on behalf of the state, lose money, or me I call it you are stealing from you and I. You are not supposed to pay more than $10. You go and pay $18 for one vaccine, and then when you are caught, you say, "Oh, you forgot. I'm going to bring the money back." It's absurd. It can't happen anywhere in any serious democracy.
So if corruption
Akufo-Addo sits at the apex of corruption in this country, there is not a single day that this government has not been hit by one corrupt scandal or the other. So I don't know why we will not accept it. So why was he called a mother serpent of corruption? It's not because of investigations that were linked directly to him. So if I say that he sits at the apex of a criminal organization,
criminal organization is a crime which should be prosecuted.
Of course, yes.
If the police ask you to come and help, show them where this criminal organization is, would you be able to do that?
But what Ajimamenu did, was it not criminal?
If they ask you, the police or the Attorney General, that come and show us this criminal
there are
organization,
parliamentary records. Just last week, the special prosecutor is telling us about what LaBianca is doing at the ports. Why is she not being prosecuted? Why is she being asked to refund the money?
There are several ways.
If it was Giorgio Pariado, if it was Giorgio Pariado,
the special prosecutor has preventive and then also prosecutorial.
If it was Giorgio Pariado
clauses,
and I defraud the state of 1 million Ghana cedis, would they ask me to refund or would they prosecute me?
It depends.
It is because she's a member of the Council of State and a board member of GAPOA. Even the issue of conflict of interest. How do you become a board member of GAPOA and involve yourself in this mess?
So if it's not,
but LaBianca is working free.
So if it's not going to be corruption in 2024, why do you think you can remove MPP?
Bread and butter issues, Omaro. Bread and butter. The issues are all about the economy. It is bread and butter that matters. As for corruption, we know that Akufo-Addo is a person. He's personalized it as his private property. So nobody's going to dispute that with him. But bread and butter issues. Omaro, go into the streets of Adabraka. Meet 10 young people. 8 of them will tell you that every day they are lucky to go to bed with a day's meal, just one meal. Just one. The other one person will tell you that he's eating morning, afternoon, evening, maybe a card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. Finish.
They don't send Momo to card-bearing MPP members, do they?
They don't send Momo.
They don't send mobile money to them. So how do they benefit them? They are all part of the youth.
No, some are suffering, but some are enjoying. You know why? They have their godfathers in government, they have their businesses, they are giving out supports. All this you start and what have you that you are talking about, it will end up in their pockets, like we saw with the COVID relief funds. So it goes to their party faithfuls, even within the ranks of the police and then the military. For a very long time, 3 years in this country, between 2017, 2018, 2019, there was no advertisement in any of the newspapers that service personnel were being recruited into the services. But every year, people were passing out. How were they recruiting them? We spoke about it severally, that we're only calling people from their party. Omar, remind you, we are politicians. We are in the constituencies. So you see somebody who wears an NPP t-shirt Monday to Monday, all of a sudden wearing a police uniform. You didn't see when the advert was made. You didn't hear about the recruitment process.
He's a Ghanaian. He just supports MPP.
He's a Ghanaian. He just supports MPP. But should that be the case?
He's qualified.
Thank you.
I'm sure the police has
I'll leave it there.
Recruitment criteria. What alternative would you offer Ghanaians? So what would you tell Ghanaians? That your side is better?
A government for all. A government that represents every other Ghanaian, not a selected few.
A government that collapsed their businesses because there was no constant supply of power.
Omaro, do you want to get into this argument?
No, I'm just
a government that came to build sustainable power for you and I.
But made people suffer for 2 years.
But Omaro, if over 30 years, no government has made investments into electricity, people come and only pay lip services, your country keeps growing, population is expanding, access to electricity is being expanded, you will suffer what we suffered in 2013.
Dr. Bawumia and the Finance Ministry have said to us that the reason we are seeing, in fact, Dr. Bawumia himself, the Vice President, has said that one of the reasons we are going back to the IMF is due to the legacy debts that you left behind in the energy sector. The amount they're having to pay for unused power is excessive. That is insensitive. Someone possibly brought a plant in so that they could get their cut. They didn't care whether Ghana needed that power or not. And now we are paying because on a take or pay basis.
Omaro, unfortunately, nobody in this country today takes Mahmoud Bawumia seriously. And I'll tell you why. We set up ESLA to pay for the legacy debts. They've mortgaged ESLA to 2035. The excessive power they claim. They spoke about Ameri. When they came, they did our Ameri innovation contract. That led to the dismissal of the energy minister then. Because the Kufuor himself was involved in trying to steal money from this country.
No.
And when it was pointed out to them in
but
Parliament.
I can't let you say that. You can change that.
When it was pointed out to them in Parliament,
Pablo,
what did he say?
Pablo, you're on TV.
I'm telling you that what was the Ameri innovation all about?
Yes.
They overbuilt this country. They told us that they were going to review Ameri. Excessive power. Why don't they send Ameri plan back and see if we'll not go back into darkness? Why don't they send car power back and see if we'll not go into darkness? Because you have signed
contracts that will be
But difficult. They said we were going to send Ameri back. What happened?
Because if they look at the contract, sending it back is more expensive.
Today, at peak capacity, what is our total megawatts? The excessive capacity you're talking about. We still don't have the needed reserves we require. So speak to the professionals and let them tell you that at peak, we need over 500 megawatts at backup. We don't even have that. So where's the excessive power?
You will not let the NPP break the 8?
They can never break the 8. They will bring the 8. But they've already broken the 8 with the Ghanaian cedi to the dollar. They've broken the 8 with fuel prices. Now they are even breaking the 10. But as for this government, come what may, 7th December 2024, it will be the last of this government. And we will never ever allow this group to ever govern this country again.
George Opariado there. He is a National Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Congress. My name is Umaru Sandamado. Thank you for watching Face to Face.